All right, show number 3 of me trying to do it without any earbuds in. Seems like everything's been okay. Nobody's said anything yet, but I can't hear it. So, whatever. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I've gotten pretty good at actually saying the name of the show right. Took me a minute. Did that old show for 8 damn years. Built that little baby up. Raised it with my own 2 hands. And now, I'm raising kid number 2. Much like in real life. And they make me sleepy. Much like in real life. I'm Dan Besbris. You can find me on Twitter at Dan Besbris. DanBesbris. You can follow Old Man Squad. That's the handle. Also, it'll follow you back. So you want one new follow out of it? That's how you go get it. We're also Old Man Squad Fantasy over on Instagram. Just the shorts, video shorts. That's what's going on over there. Please hit the like button as you're settling in to watch the show. Those of you that are watching, if you're listening after the fact, you don't have to hit the like button because there is no like button. But subscribe, follow, drop that 5-star review. That's all very, very helpful. And of course, a big shout out goes to our pals at Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, to basketball, to college basketball, to hockey, UFC, and MMA. BetOnline offers that massive catalog. Head there today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering, BetOnline. The game starts here. We've got a big Wednesday to recap. Lots of interesting stuff going on. More injuries. Yes, more stuff. I know. There's a common refrain with folks that play fantasy basketball is how annoying it is that players miss a bunch of games. But look, everybody's dealing with it the same general amount. So, yeah, you might get hit worse on a given week, but it tends to balance out a little bit. And we just have to adjust our strategy as a result of that. So don't let it take you completely out of your game. Let's start going through. Let's figure out what happened yesterday. Detroit lost at Charlotte, a tough one. A tough loss for the Pistons, who also lost Jalen Duren to an ankle tweak. Tried to play through it. It didn't happen. It's the worst of all worlds there because he got 3 rebounds in an actual game. So for roto players, that was a real pisser. Tobias Harris very slowly coming on. We got to get that shot number up above 12. And he did have 5 fouls, so that kind of slowed him down a little bit. But at least the field goal percent is coming around. So little by little, slowly but surely. Jaden Ivey, better efficiency game. But, okay, so we don't need to spend a ton of time on guys we've talked about over and over and over again on the show. We're going to really talk about the changes going on in an individual game. And the only one here was from the Jalen Duren injury. And after he went down, Paul Reed picked up some fouls. He's obviously the better fantasy producer as the backup center, but in all likelihood, it's going to be Isaiah Stewart for most of those minutes. And he's a guy you could look at as a possible fill-in, like a real low-level one. And he's on my injury replacement board, which, as we've talked about before, you guys all have access to. It's in the Google Sheet. The link is in the show description. That has the injury replacement board, the streaming calendar, in-season rank movement tracker, which is how we did our buy and sell show yesterday. So you can check that out. You can see the rolling list, which has like 25 names on it right now. On the Charlotte side, Miles Bridges finally got his game together. Apparently left with a little bit of a knee tweak, but seems to be fine. His buy low window probably closes with this big ball game. Grant Williams filling in at center. I know Taj Gibson got the start at center, but also he's Taj Gibson, and he moves about as fast as I do, which ain't great if you're trying to chase down NBA-level speed. So Grant Williams got in there at 12 and 7, couple steals, a block, and a pair of 3-pointers. He's also, much like Isaiah Stewart, kind of a low-end injury replacement streamer. I don't even know if I put him on my list, but I will. Here, we'll put him on there. That's Nick Richards is out, so it's Mark Williams, Richards, those guys both out. So Grant Williams has some kind of semi-whack appeal, but not zero. And Trey Mann appears to be cooked. As we expected, Brandon Miller did ruin him. Again, you don't have to do the pre-drop. I almost never advocate the pre-drop, with the exception perhaps of Andre Drummond You can wait and see how it goes, but we're seeing how it goes, and it goes not great when Brandon Miller's getting 16 shots and Trey Mann's not getting much of any. Orlando at Indiana. Goga Bitadze is one of the bigger stories of the night, I think, here, because looking at last season, and this was the expectation, at least for me, and it's why I'll admit I'm a game late on this one. Last year, Wendell Carter Jr. missed whatever it was, 25, 27 games. And in those games, Bitadze and Wagner pretty much split the center minutes. It was almost right down the pipe. But so far in this one, Goga's winning, which, I mean, I think generally we're all good with. But he's played 27 and then 30 minutes in his 2 Wendell Carter Jr. fill-in games. He's averaging 10.5 rebounds in those, 3 assists, 10.5 points, 2 blocks, and a steal. Good field goal percent. Doesn't shoot many free throws. That's very much a startable fantasy play. My fear, it's not gone, because it does feel like on any given moment, if Bitadze's not having a great ball game or if Wagner gets hot or something like that, then you might see extra Mo, a little extra dose of Mo. But right now, it does seem like Goga's the guy they want. They like that the defense first kind of look, the rebounding, the shot blocking, which Wagner does not provide. He's more of a scoring threat on offense. And then otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same. KCP has been forced into doing a little bit more, but still not nearly enough. So you can watch list Caldwell Pope, Suggs, and Wagner. Franz, first name Franz, the 2 guys you're looking at. And tracking the sort of Jonathan Isaac trackometer here. He ain't there yet. We need 20 minutes. I don't think you even need to sit on him for that. Jarris Walker had a perfect night, 7 for 7 shooting, but you're not adding him because, as we know, shooting 100% is not sustainable. The guy you are playing right now is Bennedict Mathurin, who's picked up for Aaron Nesmith, injured, and Mathurin's been awesome. They tried this lineup last year, and it didn't work. The Mathurin starting 5 situation, but it's working now. And it helps when the team shoots 54%. Everybody's getting good looks. Everybody's knocking him down. Mathurin got to the free throw line 14 times in this ball game, so that's also a bit of a boost. But that's the real story here. Halliburton, the 4 assists, man, that's annoying. But they won the game, so I guess Indy's not complaining. Still, Mathurin is a startable fantasy play when he's the starter in a way that Aaron Nesmith is not. So from a fantasy perspective, this has been a good thing. Hawks beat the Knicks. I don't know how the hell this happened, but it did. I mean, I guess I know how it happened. The Knicks need to play better defense. They're fine. They're 3-4. I know sky is falling, all that stuff. At least Cat's been incredible. Monster game from Karl Anthony Towns, who's number 5 in fantasy right now on massive, massive rebounding numbers. That's the big driving force here for Cat. 16 boards in this game. Sheesh. The Knicks have no depth, none at all. Everybody's playing 38, 39 minutes. It's a matter of time. It's not if, it's when these guys all go down to injury. It's when. Josh Hart fouled out in 38 minutes, or he probably would have played 41, like Anunoby did. He's going to go down. Hart's going to go down. Cat's going to go down. Mikal Bridges might survive it. Brunson, coin flip. And Jalen Brunson, this is exactly what we talked about. Exactly what we talked about on why I faded Brunson coming into the season. He doesn't need to take 25 shots anymore. Cat's doing better than expected. I thought he'd be a safe second rounder. He's a first rounder so far. Anyway, no real changes there. Miles McBride, 16 points, 7 assists. This is not a thing we expect to repeat itself, so I wouldn't go out on a limb for Deuce. But the big story in this game, not Cat's line, Zaccharie Risacher, who had 33 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 6 3-pointers because he got crazy hot. He got hot. You know, if you're going to shoot 60-some-odd% on 18 field goal attempts, and a lot of them are from downtown, you're going to make something happen. There are, and I don't mean to be like the Captain Buzzkill here or anything, because this is an amazing game, and it's going to get him picked up in a ton of places. But we have this tendency, just as humans, to rate players out on the last thing they did. And for Risacher, the last thing he's done here is a world-class first-round level performance. But I would caution folks to look back at the previous handful of ball games and understand why the overall rank on Risacher is still pretty low. It's not a mystery. He's number 197 in 9-cat leagues in 27 minutes a game and almost 12 shots a night. It's not like he hasn't had things to do. You can see the outline. He can score, not efficiently yet. He can steal, he can block, he can shoot threes. He doesn't rebound or pass very much. Turnovers are relatively low, I guess. But the free throw's been bad. The field goal's been bad. Those are going to swing. I mean, this game lifted him inside the top 200. That's how tough it's been. So head-to-head players, you can have at it. If he goes on a 3-game heater, it's the kind of thing that could potentially win you a week. The problem is if he goes on a 3-game cold snap, it's the kind of thing that could lose you a week. Too polarizing for me, at least on the Roto side. Head-to-head, why not? Because Bogdanovic and DeAndre Hunter are still out, although it sounds like Hunter, by the way, is starting to get kind of close. And when he does, that's probably his starting spot. Risacher may very well go to the bench when DeAndre Hunter comes back. And then when Bogdanovic comes back, then you see everybody's shot number go down also. So there's a lot of stuff that's sort of hanging on here. And I'm sorry, it's not my intention to just be the buzzkill guy, but we can't forget what the overall numbers suggest. And there will be an upward trend as the season goes. That's the way it works with rookies. It's the same with all of them, basically. Almost forever and ever. But it's not going to be magical in November. You got one magical night, and just be ready. Jalen Johnson, signs of field goal percent life. He's up to 44.8 in that category now. Look, there's nothing to worry about there. He's well on his way. It's dunk fest. And Clint Capella finally had a good ball game. I still think he's more of a streamer type, and this unfortunately meant not much for Okongwu. I'm holding on to Okongwu. He has the more translatable fantasy game, but he got outplayed in this one. And then Dyson Daniels, you saw the field goal percent come crashing back down, but he still had 4 steals and a block, so he's an obvious hold as well. Warriors, behind a big lift performance from Steph Curry. This is a nice one. Beat the Celtics on the road. Warriors defense is absolutely disgusting right now in a good way. They are really D'ing up. Jason Tatum shot the ball well. Neemias Queta shot the ball well, but the Warriors held everybody else in pretty good check in this game. The Buddy Hield heater continues. Just keep riding it. See how far it goes. Draymond's a hold. Wiggins is a hold for now. And maybe I'm on my own here. I think Jonathan Kuminga's a drop. Is that a hot take? I don't think so. He's been horrible. Celtics are, there's a little something interesting going on here. First, Luke Cornett left with hamstring tightness. So that sort of segues into the next discussion, which also brings in the fact that Jaylen Brown is day-to-day. When Brown comes back, a lot of this stuff shifts. With Brown out, Peyton Pritchard is a must-start guy. I don't know that it's going to hold necessarily. I know that Pritchard was highly ranked before Brown got hurt, but a lot of that was because he was hitting 5 3-pointers a game, and that's just not a number that's going to stick all season long. The other thing of note in this game was Neemias Queta, who got the start at center. They went big and had 14 and 8 with a couple of blocks, and he'll get a bunch of open shots on that team. So keep an eye on Queta. Although, again, if Brown comes back, I think we can kind of forget about it. It just gives us a look ahead at what are the Celtics going to do. Well, we saw Luke Cornett got the bump last time. If he's out and someone else is out, then we have that, one little piece of data for our Rolodex. What's a Rolodex, Daddy? Lakers were horrible without Anthony Davis, which has kind of been the case for multiple years now. They cannot guard anyone when Anthony Davis isn't in the lineup. It's really sad how much this team relies on one dude to try to stop anyone else ever. They don't fight through screens. They don't keep the ball in front of them. These games are really unpleasant to watch as a Laker fan. From a fantasy standpoint, the other team's going to go ham, so at least there's that. LeBron had 39. I would argue that as good as he was on offense, he was just as bad or maybe even worse on defense. LeBron was a team worse, minus 21. And some of that's just because he played more than the other guys, but like Jackson Hayes was only a minus 13, and he was out there for 40 seconds less. D'Angelo Russell got benched because he wasn't doing the little things, and that's a good thing. He needs to box out. He needs to do the right stuff on defense. He needs to take the right shots. He needs to do it at the right tempo. This needed to happen last year. Instead of this long, drawn-out, like, put him on the bench for a while, mess with his head that Darvin Ham did, I'm totally fine with Redick just saying, look, if you suck, you're going to get benched. And you can't do that to LeBron, but he should have gotten it too. Those guys, LeBron lost so many dudes on defense in yesterday's game, and I'm not trying to pick on one of, if not the greatest player of all time, top two at the very least, but his defense was atrocious, and it didn't matter. Like, first of all, Jackson Hayes, he's trying on defense, but he's not that great at it, so at least there's that. Austin Reeves, same thing, kind of trying, but not very good. I'm getting into a Lakers rant that doesn't really have anything to do with fantasy. From a fantasy perspective, I would expect Rui Hachimura and Anthony Davis back for the Lakers next game. AD's nursing a sore heel. He basically said he was playing, and then Redick was like, we're not going to let him play. We have to deal with this, and we're just going to not let it get bad over the course of the year. And then Hachimura was sick. So both those guys probably back for the next one, meaning you can pretty much ignore the Cam Reddish game, although he has moved in front of some of the other guys as a bench dude. You can ignore the Jackson Hayes game. And I think this is actually a buy opportunity for D'Angelo Russell because either it gets worse until he gets traded or he responds and plays better the next time out. Either way, long-term, long play, it's good. Short-term, it's not. For the Grizzlies, Ja Morant left early, although then this game was pretty much well in hand at that point. We'll see how his body responds. This was a hamstring thing, so might need a day. Thing is, though, Scottie Pippen Jr. was already a stream with Marcus Smart and Desmond Bane out. So we can make him even more of a stream. That's fine. I don't trust in Jalen Wells. I know he had 5 3-pointers here, but 70% is the number I'm looking at and saying, So JJJ, Aldama, Scottie Pippen Jr., and then I guess Zach Edey. He's the maybe. Those are your guys if Ja Morant is out, and if Ja is in, it's probably the same guys, oddly enough. San Antonio at Houston. We'll talk about this one after a very quick commercial break. San Antonio got smashed in this one, so you can pretty much dump the box, other than a quick point out that Stephon Castle played 25 minutes in a starting role, didn't do much, so watch list. Julian Champagnie played 28 minutes. That was a team high because there's no Vassell and there's no Keldon Johnson. Champagnie does belong as a streamer right now. That, I think, is the only real takeaways from this game, at least on the Spurs side. As far as the Rockets side goes, hello, Freddie VanVleet, 21, 7, and 10, 2 steals, a 3, and 10 out of 11 shooting. Welcome back inside the top 50. Here comes Freddie. Şengün played 24 minutes, but that was mostly blowout stuff, so don't read too much into that. Jabari Smith Jr., Dylan Brooks, same story. Blowouts are good because that gives us more Amen Thompson and Tari Eason, guys that you're attempting to hold, so keep trying to do so, and we will continue to shuffle along. Cleveland wins again, 54% shooting. Sounds like Darius Garland was actually throwing up mid-ball game, if you're wondering why he only had 14 points. But the team overall is just ransacking opponents right now. They remain unbeaten, and there really isn't much in the way of takeaways. I thought Donovan Mitchell was sort of a semi, maybe a little bit buy low, and maybe a little bit still. Maybe not. Karis LeVert is on a field goal percent binge right now. I guess you can stream while hot, but I don't think I have the stones to do it myself. New Orleans got Zion back. They got Jordan Hawkins back, and Jose Alvarado, who was questionable, was ruled in. So at least they had a couple of healthy bodies for this game, and Alvarado was a monster. And this is why we have him as one of my preferred injury replacements, because you can't find assists and steals together on the wire all that easily. And then he added threes and scoring in this particular ball game. But you know how it's going to average out. You know how it's going to average out with Jose With this fill-in from McCollum, I think he's a must-play guy. Messi had 3 blocks, but the 19 minutes mean I'm going to pass there. Brandon Boston Jr. jumped in front of Jordan Hawkins in the pecking order. That was notable. I'm not doing anything with it yet. I feel like I need to see it at least one more time, but put Brandon Boston, Jordan Hawkins on the flip-flop watch list. That's a thing. And if it wasn't, I just made it a thing. Dallas, missing P.J. Washington and Derek Lively didn't matter. They held the Bulls in check, so you can kind of dump the Bulls box score as well, which is unfortunate because Ayo Dosunmu had a chance to fill in for Zach LaVine and post some numbers, and instead he had a terrible shooting game, and everybody sucked. Everybody sucks. At least over on the Dallas side, we got a nice Daniel Gafford game. 23 minutes of Gafford is a very big fantasy line in the making, and there it was. I have no other thoughts other than Klay Thompson is now sitting right at the edge of the top 100, and he's fallen back where we expected him to be all along. And Najee Marshall was a robust disappointment, despite, again, Lively and Washington both being out, and you're, of course, holding those guys. Denver, with a big late-game push, was able to knock off the Thunder. OKC loses their first game of the year, not for lack of Jalen Williams' effort. He had 29, 10, and 9, a near triple-double for J-Dub. 4 threes, 3 steals, 11 out of 20 shooting. He missed a couple free throws. I mean, this is like when the parent looks at a test the kid brought home and they got a 98%, and the parent goes, what happened there? Jalen Williams is number 21 in 9-cat, while shooting 65% at the free throw line. When that goes away, he's very close to a first-rounder. So that's cool. Lou Dort's heater continues. 5 more defensive stats, 3 more threes. He's gone crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Lou Dort has gone crazy. I don't know why he didn't play more than 26 minutes. Were there fouls early? I didn't watch the first half of this game, so I apologize on that one. But I guess you're riding the Lou Dort freight train. Goodness gracious. Caruso had 6 defensive stats, but the 21 minutes is the reason that I've already declared myself a loser on this one. I'd love to be able to point at it and go, see, guys, there's still hope. I don't think there's hope. And then Shea was fairly pedestrian. 8 turnovers in this game? What the hell's that about? SGA falls, by the way, to number 8 in 9-cat right now. Not that I think that's necessarily going to stick all year, but it is sort of one of those things of like, look, we thought he might tip a little. Jordan Poole, just by not playing for a couple of games in a row, he's up to number 3 now. Jordan Poole is number 3. Lord have mercy. Oh, man. On the Denver side, Russell Westbrook had another big ball game filling in for Jamal Murray. I can't do it, guys. Points leagues, you're doing it. As long as Jamal Murray's out, Westbrook is a points league fill-in. 9-cat, like, you just know, what's going to happen. If he shoots the ball this well for a couple of games, there is a bad one waiting in the wings, and it's going to be a soul-crushingly bad game. Christian Brown did it again. 24 and 8, 2 steals, a block, and 4 3-pointers. The man has hit another gear somehow. I still don't think the field goal free throw percent are going to hold all season long, and I don't know that the steals and blocks are going to remain above 1, both of them, but damn. Peyton Watson was the guy that we were really watching coming into this game, and he by 9-cat metrics, his game was not very good, mostly because he shot 1 out of 4 at the free throw line, but 3 boards, 3 assists, a steal, 3 blocks, and a 3-pointer. That's good. So I'm still in on Peyton Watson, especially getting the big blocks numbers out of someone who's small forward eligible, I believe, in most leagues. I guess I could triple check myself on that, but I think, isn't he? What am I forgetting here? Is Peyton Watson small forward eligible? That's the question we're asking ourselves. Yes, he is. That's a great number of blocks to get from a small forward. Miami, they're a snooze. Haywood Highsmith exploded, but we don't care because we know that the power forward position for the Heat is about an 8-sided die roll. And it's going to come up one of those guys. Jimmy Butler's a buy low. Rozier is a let it ride. And Hero is probably a little bit of a sell high, but maybe more of a let it ride. I mean, fleh. Jusuf Nurkic, 20 and 18 out of nowhere here with a couple good ball games in a row. He pushes himself back inside the top 200. But more than anything, getting starters minutes has been the big deal. And I still don't know if this was more matchup related because the last one is against Philly and they were rolling an Andre Drummond lineup for some of the time. And of course, Miami has Adebayo, so you need a little bit of size in there. Or if this is just Nurk waking up and the Suns going, all right, now you're ready. I was damn ready to call him a full-on drop last week. I might have even said I'm willing to stream his slot. But now you obviously can't at this point. And I still remain mostly down on Nurk, but this is a hell of a 2-game run. That's for damn sure. So flowers given, Mr. Nurkic. Monsieur Nurk. Royce O'Neal, of course, lost a few minutes because of it. He was down at 23. Still did enough in this game to kind of squeak by and remains a barely playable kind of stream while hot type of dude. Toronto, they were able to hang in there for 3 quarters, and then the fourth was unkind to the Raptors. But the streamers mostly did what they were supposed to do. I don't know why I yelled the word "but" so loud, but if I had any kids in the house, they'd be giggling. Grady Dick, down game. He had some foul stuff early, just never really got into the mix. He's still a solid fill-in play with 4 rotation guys out. Davion Mitchell, someone we've talked about a bunch on the podcast. I talked about him on Adam King's podcast yesterday also. As a great fill-in, he's Jose Alvarado light in fill-in stuff. No, you're not adding Chris Boucher. I know he's had sort of alternated games where he scores some, but then not much in the other stuff. And then RJ Barrett, like, you know what you're getting. Honestly, in this one, I was happy he had 2 steals, but he's not a guy that I'm playing in long-term situation. A lot of these guys for me are short terms. And frankly, I think the only Raptor that I like rest of season from the team at this exact moment is Jakob Poeltl. Yahoo changed the way he spells his name, by the way. They changed it from an O-E to an O with the 2 dots above it. With the name of what I don't know. O with 2 dots is called what? It's not an umlaut, is it? No, I thought the umlaut was the... Oh, no, it is umlaut. Okay. Well, in any event, we've umlauted him on Yahoo. It's a verb now. Ochai Agbaji, we talked about, low-end fill-in. He's been shooting the ball really well. That's why his rank's been kind of, I don't want to say artificially high, because he did make the shots, but kind of artificially high. It would appear that game 1 this year, the Domantas Sabonis low assist total, we didn't really have to worry about. He's also shooting 84% at the foul line. So there's probably a little bit of a sell for Sabonis, but what are you going to get? You're not going to get a first rounder. You just get a different second rounder back. So there's no point in that. Keegan Murray, bounce back here. Big ball game for Keegan. He pushed himself back up to that 70 range, which I think is probably where he ends up, somewhere between 70 and 100. DeMar's been amazing. De'Aaron Fox has been just short of amazing. And again, this is the fear. Guys lose usage. And for Fox, he needed all of that. He needed those 20, 21 shots a ball game. He's at 18, which might be good for the team. By the way, he's also shooting 87%. The Kings as a team are due to have a bad free throw shooting run. Anyway. And then Kevin Huerter's back. And now they have 3 shooting guards all fighting for the same stuff, and you can pretty much ignore all of them. Philly, Tyrese Maxey left early. They were down a bunch, so hopefully this was more precautionary, but he had a bad ball game, so I am a little bit worried on that front. But what that does do is it makes it much easier to hold on to Kelly Oubre, who was fine, by the way, in this ball game. Oubre had 18 points, and we were trying to kind of wait and see what he would be with Paul George and Maxey around. And now we won't know if Maxey has to miss a ball game. But again, if you have Oubre, then it becomes much easier to just hang on. And we have a return date for Joel Embiid. He'll be back on Tuesday. So it's 5 days from now. He's sitting out the suspension for pushing a reporter that wrote a story that talked about his son and deceased younger brother. It was a whole thing. You can read about it, not on this fantasy podcast. If you want to drop Andre Drummond, I have no problem with that at all. He has not been a particularly impressive fill-in for Embiid. By all accounts, a huge disappointment. I mean, 10 boards and a block is fine, but we really wanted a lot more from Andre. So move on. 2 more games is the longest you're going to get something decent out of him anyway. I think you can find something better, at least right now. I mean, there's so many guys hurt, injury replacement streams by the dozen. Go get one that has a better upside. And then for the Clippers, it's the same old story. Harden, Powell, Zubats, and that's that. Because the Thursday card is so short, I did not prepare a set of YouTube slides to discuss the teams that we're looking at. So we'll just do it this sort of old-fashioned way. Here are, for YouTubers, you can see the 3 games. So this is the basketball monster screen that we've been using on this show. Minnesota is at Chicago. Minnie, you're watching Mike Conley. You're watching Dante DiVincenzo to see how that whole situation unfurls. For Chicago, Zach LaVine's health is really the only thing kind of hanging in the balance. And then what that means for someone like an Ayo Dosunmu is the trickle-down effect. Utah is in Milwaukee. Again, all 3 of these games start at exactly 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 Eastern. So they'll all start and end early. That's great. The night will be over with plenty of time. Utah, Lauri Markkanen sounds like he's getting closer. I would assume we'll get some kind of update on him. Oh, he got updated to probable 8 minutes ago. Oh, we also got a Tyrese Maxey update. Yucky. Expected to miss multiple weeks. Ew. So that wasn't just soreness. That was actually a hamstring injury. Dang. The Sixers appear to be a bit cursed here to start the year. Well, that makes it a lot easier to hang on to Kelly Oubre. And I would consider Kyle Lowry. We can watch their next game. And then, of course, Embiid coming back is going to shake that up a lot because then the usage is going to shift heavily in his direction. But you might have a game or 2 where Kyle Lowry is somewhat predictably mildly useful. And I'll put out some tweets about that so you guys can refer back to those if you need to. But with Lauri Markkanen now probable, what does that mean for John Collins? Do we have the gall to start him? I have no John Collins. He got drafted by other people in every single league that I'm in. But I do think that this is going to take quite a bit away from him. We got a Jordan Clarkson update that dropped at about the same time also. What was that one? Jordan Clarkson now probable. Okay. So what does that mean for Colin Sexton? Ooh. Utah could be messy, friends. At least I know Markkanen's going to be good. Milwaukee. Waiting on a Giannis update. If he's out, I mean, I'm starting Bobby Portis probably regardless because I think he's been just barely good enough. It's barely, mind you. But if Giannis is out, then it becomes a much easier proposition in Milwaukee. And then Portland is in San Antonio. Spurs looking to bounce back. I think Champagnie should be a pretty easy play here against the Blazers. I don't think I would start Keldon Johnson against a games cap, but I understand why you might on the head-to-head side. And then for the Blazers, Shaedon Sharpe might be back tonight. I have to admit, I'm not a big Shaedon Sharpe fantasy guy. Looking back at last year, he was number 186 in 33 minutes a game. So it wasn't like there wasn't an opportunity there. But he shot 41% from the field on pretty high volume. He didn't get many steals or blocks. He didn't get many assists. I think he profiles more as a points league kind of guy, even though the free throw percent is actually not that bad, because he'll be probably reliable in scoring. He'll probably get you some rebounds, but I don't know that the other stuff is going to be, even enough to write a postcard home about it. So would I add Sharpe? I don't think his job really changes all that much this year. It's not like there's a bunch more usage to go around. Frankly, with the Blazers healthy right now, other than Sharpe, there's possibly less. I mean, he'll jam his way into plenty. Like he's a guy that they want to see what he can do. Do they want to build around him? That kind of thing. And then maybe as the season goes, if someone like a DeAndre Ayton, if they could find a way to move him, which, by the way, feels kind of difficult given contract stuff. If they could find a way to move Anthony Simons, maybe they get some bodies out of the way. Maybe then there's sort of enough usage to overwhelm the bad stuff. But for now, I think mostly if indeed Sharp is back today, which it sounds like maybe a little bit better than 50-50 shot, he probably just ruins Toumani Camara and Denny Avdia, who, by the way, weren't that great fantasy-wise anyway. Camara was a little bit better. I think the Blazers might be a subtraction by addition thing, because I don't know that Sharp is going to have value, and he probably knocks one or two guys off that barely did before. And so then the Blazers become, can Jeremy Grant continue to post value? Can Ayton? Can Simons? That might be as far as you go. And then, obviously with some of these other guys, you're different punt builds. Sharp, if you're punting field goal, he's probably fine. Simons, similar thing. Scoot, field goal, maybe turnovers as well. It's all this build stuff with Portland, which you guys know me and all these build guys. That's fine, but All right. Let's step aside. That was the show. I wanted to get through it. I'm trying to speed these up a little bit. I know some of you guys like me to just meander for 50 minutes, but I think most of you would prefer, if I can do a show in 35, we should try to do it in 35. We're going to do another show today. I'm going to try a brand new show type again. We'll see if you guys like it. If you do, tell me, because I'm throwing some darts here at the beginning of the year. I want to see what you guys like. What is the YouTube audience like? What are the traditional pod audience like? Let's see how the pieces fit. I am Dan Vespris. This is Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. Again, a reminder on the way out, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. YouTubers, hit that like button. And again, especially Spotify listeners, it's extraordinarily easy to rate 5 stars on Spotify. You just click the button. Boom, it's right there. Apple, I know it's a little bit harder to find. Like in the podcast app, you have to go to not the individual episode page. You have to go to the show page and scroll all the way to the bottom. And then it's hiding there. There's still a button that's like you can hit the review. So anyway, whatever you guys can do, super appreciate it. Obviously, I'll see you all over on social. That's where we get things done in between episodes of the pod. At Dan Vespris is the place to follow. And again, in the show description, we've got a free Discord where everybody can hang out and talk fantasy, and that Google Sheet. Make sure to have that link handy because we got a lot of good stuff going on there, and I'll keep that burger board updated as best I can in perpetuity. I'm Dan. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Like real soon, I hope. Later.